Getting back to the Russia situation, it is extremely reckless to be massing nuclear weapons and military force and missile shoot-down systems to stop a Russian counterattack on the borders with Russia. If our government was truly moral, truly supporting liberty worldwide, and trying to liberate Russia from some North Korean-style tyranny, it would still be something that should be up for debate for the public to decide if we wanted to risk nuclear war to free Russia. Russia, compared to the globalist, is not as mentally ill and insane and anti-human. Probably because they just went through 80 years, 80-plus years of globalist communism, financed out of New York and London with the Bolshevik overthrow in 1917. The same banks that run the Federal Reserve publicly, J.P. Morgan, you name it, on record funded the Bolsheviks. Look it up. 25 million train of gold, Stalin sent in to aid Lenin. Hundreds of thousands of people from England and the U.S. sent over as the Bolshevik army. The Bolshevik army was foreign Westerners who spoke Russian, who'd immigrated to the United States, who overthrew Russia. I mean, this is so insane, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, the Russians, this is known by the Russians, and it's in Solzhenitsyn's books, and it's been written about. But they don't put it on Russian TV because there's still a lot of old Russians and people that like communism and buy into it all and buy the propaganda. Because Stalin did kind of double-cross that neocon group, and then they came back over here. But the point is that the American people and the British people, the UK people, British at the time, literally financed 50, 60 million Russians killed. Just like our government helped put Mao Zedong in. That's now declassified. What the John Birch Society said in the 50s, why they created the John Birch Society, was it was discovered that, and they said it for decades, and then it's been declassified now in the last decade, but they've been saying it since the 50s, it was declassified in 2004, that indeed the CIA put Mao Zedong in power and double-crossed Chiang Kai-shek and killed U.S. personnel that had gone native OSS people who refused to aid the communists, and they lined up U.S., British, you name it, soldiers and killed them. Our CIA. Because there were a bunch of military people that stayed behind and said, we are not going to turn this over to the communists. And you know what happened? They got killed. Just remember that. Because this is not our government that runs things, ladies and gentlemen. This is a criminal group. Look at the New York Times whitewashing it. CIA papers lend insight on China under Mao. Yeah, the New York Times, when Mao died, David Rockefeller wrote an op-ed piece literally worshiping him, saying, who can deny he did a great job and is a model for us? I mean, disgusting. Even before it was fully declassified, I remember in 1999 watching History Channel with the CIA section chief over Asia. And he was laughing about how they put Mao Zedong in and bragging on History Channel. And of course, I knew all the names. I'd read the John Birch publications. I knew all about it. John Birch is named after a guy that stayed behind who they killed. Tortured, of course, first. And it lets you know that this has been known forever. And that's the only reason we knew about the New World Order plan in the 50s and 60s is because a bunch of people inside the CIA, inside the FBI, gave all their intel to Welsh, the man that spent his whole fortune trying to resist it, because they couldn't believe the level of treason. And I'm just digressing here. I just marvel at the fact that the people that own the Federal Reserve, the globalists, the big six mega banks, British royalty, you name it, funding it, would overthrow Russia and put in a group of eugenicists, anti-family, anti-God exterminators and kill 50-plus million Russians, 10 million Ukrainians, millions of Poles, millions of others in Eastern Europe, a reign of hellish terror and social engineering, and that the same globalist literally butchered China and have visited upon China 80+ million dead. That's China's number. CIA says 65 million or 66 million. And of course, then you realize, oh my gosh, they want to do that here. They really will try that here. They really want to break America and re-educate us once and for all. And the only way they do that is starting a global war that they can also tie into domestic groups. And the only way to do that is to set off a nuke. And then type it off the signatures, the jacketing isotopes, fingerprint it and frame the Russians or the Iranians, and then tie it into domestic groups and launch a full-bore takeover. And they really might go ahead and pull the trigger. Because let me tell you, they're going to lose if they don't. We have them. They think they're choking us, folks. We're like a giant boa constrictor that's got a little piglet wrapped up in it, and we're just starting to squeeze, and they're just starting to figure out that humanity wants to be free. It's just a natural instinct. It's not any organized, coordinated thing. It's just a mass, we don't want to be part of this. From factory workers to farmers to ranchers to school teachers to government agents, the power trip's wearing off, folks. People are really sitting there thinking about their families, thinking about their future, thinking about history, and really going ahead with all this. Where Homeland Security openly trains to take on gun owners, veterans, you name it. Obama's disapproval rating hits an all-time high.